It's a shame that they lobster had a careless man who could wind up dead. You wear your skin like it's some kind of prize. Too many limes, too many limes. Okay, you get it now. We're talking about Sheamus today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Sheamus going forward as a career retrospective. We're going to go over some big moments in his career. And then we're ultimately going to discuss where Sheamus ranks in the echelon of professional wrestling. Where does he rank? Let's find out right now. Initially being inspired by British wrestling on World of Sport TV, as well as the WWF in the late 90s and the Attitude Era, Sheamus eventually developed a personality of his own based off Celtic mythology as seen on his trunks and seen with the Celtic cross on his boots as well. From there, Sheamus would go on to train from 2002 to 2004 and keep going further and eventually landing in Irish Whip Wrestling. And Irish Whip Wrestling is really where Sheamus ended up making his name prior to WWE, and this led to a tryout in November of 2006. And upon impressing many WWE officials, Sheamus was officially signed in 2007 and reported to FCW, also known as Florida Championship Wrestling. After impressing again in Florida Championship Wrestling, it was not long until the Celtic Warrior eventually would go to the main roster. After completing a series of dark matches between 2008 and 2009, the impending Celtic Warrior would also make his official main roster debut on the June 30th, 2009 edition of ECW. Sheamus' ECW run would not last really long, as from June to October 2009, he would run roughshod feuding with the likes of WWE legend and future Hall of Famer Goldust, and as well as Shelton Benjamin, who will also go down in the WWE Hall of Fame at some point. After learning from these two veterans, Sheamus would make the transition very quickly to Monday Night Raw on the October 26, 2009 episode against Jamie Noble, and eventually subsequently retiring the former Cruiserweight champion. And then from there, Sheamus would go on to become the first ever Irish-born WWE champion, and in TLC 2009, he would defeat the face that runs the place, John Cena, putting him through a table off the top turnbuckle and winning the WWE title, the most coveted prize in all of professional wrestling. Sheamus' run here could be linked to Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle's initial rookie years as one of the best rookie years in WWE history. In a mere couple of months, Sheamus was already the WWE champion. From June to December, the Celtic Warrior already made his name on the main roster and made himself a permanent fixture in WWE history by capturing the WWE Championship, which very few men have been able to do over the years. After capturing the WWE Championship, Sheamus' run would prove successful, going through the Royal Rumble, and then ultimately he would drop the WWE title inside the Elimination Chamber, getting pinned by his WrestleMania opponent for WrestleMania 26, Triple H. And this showed exactly what the company thought of Sheamus to put him in a huge singles match at the grandest stage of them all with one of the best wrestlers of all time in the game, and had a very good showing there, and then eventually would defeat Triple H and win the feud at Extreme Rules the next pay-per-view after. Then from there, he would also win the Fatal 4-Way match at Fatal 4-Way to become a two-time WWE champion. He would hold that for a while until he would drop it to Randy Orton at Night of Champions, have a very underrated Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell the following month for the pay-per-view. And then he would win the King of the Ring, become King Sheamus, and have one of the most overlooked ladder matches of all time against John Morrison at the end of the year in TLC 2010. So this is ultimately the first year of Sheamus, and a lot has already happened. He's already been the WWE champion twice. He's won King of the Ring. He's faced Triple H at WrestleMania. He's beat John Cena. He's went against Randy Orton. He has already done a lot. But unfortunately, the luck would not last, because at WrestleMania 27, he was scheduled to wrestle Daniel Bryan for the United States Championship, and there's no doubt in anybody's mind how great that match would have been. But at the last second, their match got cut, and it was put on the pre-show and eventually became a battle royal. And if you ever watched Daniel Bryan's documentary, he said that Sheamus put his face down, put his hands over his face palmed, and just took a huge deep breath because he knew what that meant. And Sheamus went on to even say that that was the lowest point in his career. So now the Celtic Warrior needed to make a change going into 2012 and also going for the rest of his career. What would that change be? Let's find out. Unfortunately, luck would be on Sheamus' side, as in the summer of 2011, he would undergo a change and he would turn as a face for the first time in his main roster career. This sparked new fire inside the Celtic Warrior, and he would go on to win the 2012 Royal Rumble match and have a fantastic Final 2 with Chris Jericho. And luck was still on Sheamus' side for being on top of the card, but at WrestleMania 28, things would actually turn in the favor of his opponent, Daniel Bryan. Originally designed to be an 18-second match, Sheamus would capture the World Heavyweight Championship, but his opponent, the former World Heavyweight Champion, would capture the hearts of the entire WWE Universe. But Sheamus would still go on to have a great run as the World Heavyweight Champion, defending the title against the likes of Daniel Bryan in a great 2 out of 3 falls match at Extreme Rules, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio, and then eventually had a very good match with The Big Show at Hell in a Cell 2012 where he would lose the championship. And he would go on to still maintain his run as a face going into 2013. Until he would tear his labrum after Money in the Bank, but make a great return in the 2014 Royal Rumble and participate in the Final 4 along with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 30. Following WrestleMania 30, Sheamus would go on to win the United States Championship, have a very good run, and have a clinic of a match against Cesaro at Night of Champions 2014. As Cesaro and Sheamus have very similar styles, they complemented each other, and no one else prior to Cesaro really wrestled like Sheamus on the main roster at this time, so it was a breath of fresh air to see a really hard-hitting match like this on paper. And then eventually, Sheamus was supposed to team up with Cena at Survivor Series, but he ended up getting injured right beforehand, so Sheamus had to miss Survivor Series, miss the 2015 Royal Rumble, and miss WrestleMania 31 while recovering from injury. But Sheamus would debut a brand new appearance that nobody else was expecting. On the night after WrestleMania 31, Sheamus would make his return from injury, sporting a really long mohawk and braided beard, a completely different look than anybody was used to, and we thought he was coming out to save Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler, and eventually they were on the receiving end of bro kicks from Celtic Warrior. And then a "You Look Stupid" chant started, and this did not hinder anything going on with the Celtic Warrior, as he would eventually go on to win the Money in the Bank for the first time in his career. He would hold the Money in the Bank for months on end, tease cash-ins at places like Night of Champions where they were halted by Kane, but at Survivor Series after Roman Reigns had captured the WWE Championship, that's when Sheamus decided to strike. He hit Roman Reigns with a bro kick, then hit him with another one, and won the WWE Championship once again. And this was a completely different Sheamus than before. Sheamus was more confident, the Sheamus was a little more experienced, and Sheamus would only hold the mantle, unfortunately, for about a month before he would lose the belt back to Reigns. But this was nice to see, as Sheamus got another chance to be at the top of the card just for a little bit. And then he would go on to form the League of Nations, and he would do some stuff kind of in the upper mid-card until eventually he faced Cesaro again at Clash of the Champions 2016 after the brand split, and they would become the tag team known as The Bar. This was a really good team. They went from the end of 2016 to early 2019. They had multiple tag team title runs across Raw and SmackDown, had many great matches against the likes of Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in the New Day, and they ended up having a very successful run until Sheamus had to leave in 2019 due to injury. And as he was off, he would revert back to his old look with the spiked hair and the different style goatee beard combo. And he would come back, and Sheamus from then would be better than ever. Sheamus ended up getting a new lease on life, and he would eventually face the likes of Drew McIntyre in very, very good matches. And then he would go on to wrestle the ring general Gunther at Clash at the Castle that ended up becoming one of the best matches in WWE history. After the match, Sheamus ended up getting a standing ovation from the faithful there in Cardiff, which is very close to Ireland, and Sheamus from then became very much more respected than he had ever been in his entire career. And that's where the phrase banger after banger after banger truly got its origin from. And since then, Sheamus has been at the absolute top of this game and would also have a classic triple threat match at WrestleMania 39 involving Gunther and Drew McIntyre, who may be the greatest rival in his entire career. So where do you all rank Sheamus? I personally believe he may go down as the most underrated performer of all time. I think he brought a style that was completely different to the game in WWE, a much more intense, hard-hitting style that probably would have fit better in the Ruthless Aggression era, but still did great here because eventually more talents that had the styles of Sheamus eventually came through. Guys like Cesaro, guys like Gunther, maybe eventually Ilya Dragunov too, who knows. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think of Sheamus in general, and where does he rank? Let me know, like, share, comment, and subscribe.